Well, round one of the Shannons Speed Series this year was an adventure down to the island in Victoria. Phillip Island, boy, it put on a show for the opening round of the championship just over a month ago. A Monochrome GT4 Australia was a huge part of the weekend as the championship rocketed into life with 31 cars. Thomas Randall alongside me as we look ahead to round two. It's worth just casting our mind back, Tom, to this great show. Every single race was outstanding.
They both were. Thanks, Crailsy, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to our live coverage here of the Speed Series Round 2 from Sydney Motorsport Park. And that round one, boy, did it have it all. That moment we saw from George Medicki at the final corner, turn 12, managed to hang on and even grab a podium out of that. And that battle between Purdy, Price, Heyman and Gagan in the Audi versus the McLaren. They traded wins across the races. Unfortunately, we saw Campbell had that crash/spin at turn one in the second race. Just see it on the screen there now, and unfortunately put them out of a great result. But they've been super fast so far this weekend, so I'm expecting to see some pretty awesome action this weekend if Phillip Island was anything to go on.
Well, all three classes are incredibly open, the diversity of competition, and the manufacturers as well. GWR Australia with the brand new Toyota Supra had an outstanding result down there. That was a huge thing. Tim Berryman has come out of retirement basically. Very fast. Commercial Motorsport was strong. The Randalls in the AM class in the mighty BMW were quick, but perhaps the big story of it all was Blake Purdy and Daniel Price in the Nippies Audi R8. It's the first time we've seen that car in Monochrome GT4 Australia, and they launched out with a bang, a second and a first. They lead the points going into round two, having not even factored, I don't think, into the discussions going into round one. So that's part of the excitement in GT4. And Tommy, we're back with another 31 car field for this one. So I hope you've done your prep and you know who's who, because I've got no idea, mate. There's so many cars to learn and prep for this one.
I was relying on you, Crailsy.
Oh no, we're in trouble.
Oh no, that was an incredible debut in the Audi from both Purdy and Price, and grabbing a win and a second place, like you said. At the moment, they're sitting on the top of the championship standings at the moment, and I think it's going to be another fantastic event here. Qualifying, we've got two 15-minute sessions, and we'll be seeing essentially driver A in session one and then driver B in session two, and that'll set the grids for both of those races. So I think the track is going to be hot this morning as we go on board in the Audi GT4 for a lap of Sydney Motorsport Park at the 3.93 kilometre Gardiner circuit into turn number one. A lot of commitment required here, staying in top gear and using all that ripple strip on the exit. Bit bumpy in the middle and down into turn number two. Bit of a wet lap this one, so thankfully for them today it's going to be nice and dry. But into turn number two, you want to really V that corner to try and get a nice throttle ramp off to into turn three. A bit bumpy in the middle of turn three as well as we head over the tunnel into turn number four. And when it's dry, you'll be wanting to get as close as you can to that inside line. Middle of the track on the exit, then bring it across for turn number five. We're actually on a high grip surface here for turn number five, making sure we don't get track limits there on the exit of turn number five. And then right there is where we hit the low surface, very bumpy into turn six. For the wet line, yeah, you need to go a little bit wider, but for the dry line, you'll see all the cars using all that inside apex. Up over Corporate Hill, the car moves around. It's actually blind on approach there into turn number seven. And then turn eight, the hairpin, using, not quite a conventional line here because it's wet, but in the dry, you'll see all the drivers really hugging that line. And that's also another area that track limits on the exit can be policed. Heading into turn number nine, it's all about bravery into here. How deep do you want to go as we head into turn number nine? We've got a car, a Mercedes there. Hopefully that's not the case for qualifying today. And then turn number 11, really want to make sure you nail the exit here because it is such a long run down the main straight here. And that's what it looks like. 11 turns, 3.93 kilometres here. And a lap time in the dry of around a 1:34. So it's going to be a fast session. We saw in practice in pre-qualifying last night, the Campbell Crick entry was on top there. So looking forward to seeing how they go. I think that Ford Mustang's going to be pretty strong, Crailsy.
I would like to have that lap on repeat. There was a lot going on there. What it does, there was quite a heavy rain shower that swept across Sydney Motorsport Park just before that session, so the grip levels were significantly reduced. But it also shows the difference between a GT4 car and a GT3 car. We'll see a little bit later on today in GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS. These cars have less than half the downforce available to them. Similar tyre, slick tyre, same sort of compound and construction from Pirelli, but so much less aerodynamic grip. So the cars move around a lot more. That explains about a 8-second lap time difference, but the way when you watch the cars moving from an onboard, these things are hard work. The drivers earn their keep at this place in a GT4 car.
Yeah, they do, and something that we've touched on is the amount of surface changes that this circuit has to offer. And I mentioned it a little bit earlier in the broadcast that it's a circuit that, due to having the permanent lighting installed, which has been a fantastic addition to this circuit, this place gets used pretty much all day and all night throughout the week. So the track surface, you know, just kind of gets worse and worse, and you have sections of this place where the track grip is really high. So into turn number 2, all the way through turn 3, it's a really nice, smooth, high grip surface. Pardon a few bumps into turn 3, but then as you go over the tunnel down to turn number 4, you then go back on a really poor surface for turn 4. So you have to try and get the balance of these cars to try and suit that mix of track surface. And then you get through turn 4, into turn 5, you're back on a good surface, and then you go back on a poor surface for turn 6, 7, and 8. So these cars around here, what you want, Crailsy, is a lot of point, a lot of turn. So if you're struggling with understeer or push, as we like to call it, that really hurts the car. So if you can be nimble around here with the car and probably drive the car more on the rear, that's going to help for a faster lap time. And it's only going to help you in the race as well, because we're going to see a lot of tyre degradation as well.
That's the voice of Thomas Randall, and he's good at this kind of thing. Had a really solid weekend here in the Tickford Racing Castrol Mustang, the Supercars Championship opened their calendar here under lights at the start of the year. So fully versed on tyre deg in a big, heavy, sliding supercar at this place, and these cars will experience it over 2 one-hour races. So 2 qualifying sessions. They are short, sharp 15 minutes to bank a lap time, and I think this will be the story of both of them, is finding your own little bit of 3.93 Ks of Sydney Motorsport Park. Let's follow the Ford Mustang, the Lubramax Mustang, Mediki Motorsport. George and Rylan Gray have been outstanding in this championship. They qualified 4th in the equivalent session with Rylan Gray behind the wheel. So the higher ranked driver generally does qualifying 1. Rylan is behind the wheel now. They qualified 4th at the Island, and they will be contenders, Rusty, as always, in Monochrome GT4.
Crailsy, good morning to you. This guy here, as you know, won the Toyota Gazoo Racing GR Cup and the Scholarship Series last year. Max Gagan, very famous surname in Australian motor racing, in a GT4 this weekend. How's it going so far?
Mate, it's been a great start to the season for Tommy and I. He converted a pole into a race win at Phillip Island in race 1, and race 2 he came home second. So yeah, learning a lot of Tommy is awesome in this car. So really enjoying it, and really enjoying the sort of morale we've got in the team here. It's a great vibe.
Sport in the wake of the success like that, you know, they review things and how are you placed coming into Sydney Motorsport Park, and we know this can be a tough place. What's it like in the McLaren?
Yeah, I've done plenty of laps around here, and anything from a road car to an XL to now in GT4 and Super 2, so everything's a little bit different, and this McLaren actually is very different to anything else I've ever driven here, how it achieves its speed. So I've had a bit of learning. Unfortunately, we had some issues yesterday, but the boys are straight on top of it and they got it sorted. So I can't thank them enough for really getting it all happening for us, and yeah, ready to go out there on a green tyre and go let it rip.
Right, we're letting him get back to the timing monitor now. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Rusty. He is a super young bloke, really well spoken, and very proud to carry the Gagan family heritage. The great Pete Gagan and Leo Gagan, his grandfather's brother, as Nathan Murray in the Morris Finance BMW run by McElroy Racing has a little spin up at turn 2. Quick lap time starting to roll. Blake Purdy will jump to the top at a 35.6. Still a little way off the benchmark we saw yesterday. But just to put that exclamation point on chatting about Tom Heyman in the Method Motorsport car with young Maxi Gagan. They were superb at the island. And I think the point he made about converting pole to a win is a big story, because it's rare you do that in multi-class GT4 racing. It's so wide open and the grid can get so jumbled. It is often hard to convert a pole into a win.
Yeah, there's a lot that it takes, Crailsy, to get a win in motorsport. So when you get those wins, you've got to celebrate them, and there's generally more lows than highs in motorsport. So there's so many little elements that need to be perfect that you have to execute to get a win. And we actually saw a lot at Phillip Island, a lot of pit stop and pit lane infringements, and that's something we really spoke about over the course of the coverage. You know, not getting down to that 40 kph, not doing your mandatory time in the lane as well. So those little things, that's all it can take to catch you out. You might nail everything on track and then have a little drama in the pit stop and then there's a penalty. So, but like you said, Method Motorsport, the team run by Chaz Mostert, they've been doing a cracking job in this championship, not only this year so far, but also in 2024. So it's a great combination, Heyman and Gagan at the moment. It is Heyman out there, as we saw Rusty was catching up with Gagan, and we're just following that car now, the number 25 McLaren, and through turn number 2.
And he just got the grasp on the braking point there up into turn 2, so that was very nearly a near miss for the Printio Concrete Method Motorsport car. Running champions, of course, in Monochrome GT4 Australia. Tommy back to defend his crown as Blake Purdy punches out a 33.82 to go quickest, comfortably quicker than the pre-qualifying session, admittedly on a greasy racetrack. Cam Crick and Dean Campbell quickest in that session at a 1 minute 34.7. That is a very, very fast lap time for Blake Purdy. Hughes on a lap. That's the 888 Race Engineering Mercedes AMG GT3. He's sharing with Summer Rental, 16th position at the moment, car number 87, and they're in the final sector of the lap.
And they had a few dramas in qualifying at Phillip Island. Unfortunately, Hughes had a small incident with another class, and that put them at the back of the qualifying for each session. What do you got for us, Rusty?
Tom, as you know, our sport has very much an Australian footprint, but there is a New Zealand component at the end of the year, and I'm with Zoe Woods, who's actually already done a bit of miles over there in preparation for the tour later in the year, haven't you?
Yeah, we went over the start of the year. It was either to do a few rounds in New Zealand or some extra testing, and I decided to do the New Zealand rounds and to get Hampton Downs under my belt before we head over at the end of the year.
Awesome. Give us an update on what's happening here at Sydney Motorsport Park with the TechWorks team. Nash is out there at the moment. How's the weekend been so far?
Yeah, weekend's been good so far. We obviously had the rain and then 2 red flags in practice, so that didn't really help us, but everyone else is in the same position, so we're just taking it as it comes, and we're putting our best foot forward.
I'll let you get back to it.
Thank you.
Greg Rust talking to Zoe Woods, who has made significant leaps and bounds in her driving in the last 18 months. As Cameron Crick jumps to 5th place. We were just pondering off air where the 118 car was. He's just jumped up to 5th. This is the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4. TechWorks Motorsport. They're running cars in this category and also in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Australia. So they've got a busy little program. Nash Morris currently 6th outright and 4th of the silver class cars.
We've already gone past the halfway point of this session as well, Grail.
I told you it'd fly by.
Yeah.
Short, sharp sessions.
We've got less than 7 minutes remaining at the moment. Yeah, Hughes on top with that 33.0. So they've got half a second at the moment over position number 2, which is Tom Heyman. And just going back on Zoe Woods and Nash Morris, they had a fantastic round at Phillip Island. Kept out of trouble and secured a 4th and 5th place. Well, 4th and 5th place finishes there. So at the moment, they're sitting in 7th position. And there's still plenty of green sectors going on at the moment as Hughes boxes with 6 minutes to go. So that might just be a little tyre pressure adjustment, whether or not he'll run again or say, you know what, we've got half a second here on the field. Maybe we'll call it for this session.
Yeah, save some tyres, and that will be a talking point over the course of the weekend. Black, yellow and orange Ford Mustang GT4 is Cameron Crick, who with his good buddy Dean Campbell, and he was on a lap, but he's just backed out of this one to get a little bit of track position, so there'll be a push lap this time by. So this will be good fun to watch. These guys are currently on cloud 9. They are still on cloud 9. They won the Bathurst 6 Hour 2 weeks ago at Mount Panorama, and they won it from 66th position on the grid. And they did the full flex and took their BMW and parked it in the National Motor Racing Museum afterwards, and it's going to stay there for 12 months while they defend their crown. Crick goes into turn 1. This will be a fast lap for a young man who has been very impressive in his driving career and how quickly he's getting up to speed and still not going on with it, Tommy.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Stubbsy, what do you got for us down in the lane?
Just talking about what was a remarkable effort, wasn't it, at the 6 Hour. Dean, congratulations on that victory. That must mean the world to you. You've suffered the highs and lows of the mountain, and now you're champion.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, it was a good weekend. It's still surreal. We can't believe it. We ring each other every day saying, yeah, can you believe we've done this? But yeah, it's surreal. It's good. It's a good feeling. I know we've had a bad accident, but we've been rewarded in return now, so I can't use that as an excuse now.
And what did it mean to the team and the support to do it at home? You're a local Bathurst-based team and organisation. I mean, the party must have been mega.
We're still partying, actually. I don't know if I've got over the hangover. I just keep drinking out of it.
And the car now at the museum for everyone to watch too. That's really nice too.
Yeah, it's really nice. They rang up and said, you know, would you like to put it in here? Yeah, no worries, you know, go there for display. And we didn't wash it. We just left it how it was and put it in there for maybe till next year. We're not sure. If we need to find a race to go and use it with, we will. But if not, it'll just stay there.
Okay, talk to us about this weekend. We had practice yesterday and so far it's pretty early in the quali session, but how are you feeling?
Yeah, like we didn't get much of a run, obviously, because of the rain, but everyone's got the same problem, I guess. You know, we didn't get to test anything a lot. We've changed a few things, so we're hoping to improve now. But everyone probably will, so hard to say, but hopefully we can be up the pointy end.
Good luck for the weekend.
Thank you, mate.
Dean Campbell talking to Chris Stubbs. I wish I got an invite to that party, I'm not going to lie. It sounds like it was a big one in B-Town. Outstanding job. As Cam Crick will start a push lap now, so this will be a big flex, I think, with 3 and a bit minutes to go at the end of this session. A few little touch points for you. Jared Hughes has gone back out onto the racetrack for 888, the 87 Mercedes AMG, currently quickest, 1 minute 33.0 with half a second up his sleeve over Tom Heyman. Aaron Seaton third outright and first of the silver AM class cars in the Mustang. Lockie Manif in the Ginetta fourth and second in the silver AM class. And going quicker again, I spoke to Lockie last night. He loves driving this car. It's a slightly older model GT4 car, but he says it should be genuinely competitive here. Not as much straight line handling required relative to the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Blake Purdy sitting in the lane. He's fifth in the Audi. Rylan Gray next. Then Zach Suter. Cameron Crick, we're watching him. He's on a lap now, very wide at the exit of Brock 05 corner. Then Nash Morris, then Nathan Morecambe. First of the AM class cars is Marcus Liddell, making his debut in Monochrome GT4 this weekend in a Ford Mustang, coming across from TCR Racing, 16th outright, first of the AM class cars, and he's just in front of Shane Smollen, the defending champ, who's back in the series in his Porsche. And has Cam backed out of this lap? He has?
It looks like he has, Crowley. Yeah, so that first sector was about 6/10 away from the fastest of the session, which was set by Jared Hughes. So that car still in the lane. He went out and then came straight back in. So must have thought that, yeah, with 2 minutes to go in the session, that's probably all that car's got. But Shane Smollen, who ran in the GT World Challenge Australia, powered by AWS, at round 1 in the Porsche, shared with Dorian Boccalacci. He's traded the GT3 machinery back to GT4 machinery for this round.
Just wanted to say Dorian Boccalacci, didn't you? Let's be honest. Jason Gomersall getting himself ready in the Ford Mustang. He and Aaron Seaton had a really solid weekend at Sydney Motorsport Park, and in fact they had a solid day here yesterday as well. Second quickest in the Mustangs. They were first and second outright. 2 McLarens next, then a Mercedes. The Hugo Allen, Tony Quinn Toyota Supra. There's a story, we'll talk about that as well, because Hugo's behind the wheel. He's 12th outright at the moment. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the silver AM class. He's the reigning GR86 champion in New Zealand, and as part of Tony Quinn's commitment to backing young drivers and getting them into the sport and progressing their careers, he's been given that seat alongside the great man this weekend.
Only fitting he's in a Toyota.
Exactly right. That's all part of it.
And it's looking at this point now that it's pretty much done for the session with just under a minute to go. Get ready for driver changes.
This is how important our Greg Rust is in this sport, Tom. driver gets out of the car, doesn't go straight to the engineer, goes to Rusty for a debrief first, then goes to the team.
I think that was strategic from Rusty,
No,
though, wasn't it?
This is the pecking order of things. 40 seconds to go in the session, clock ticking down. Hugo Allen, we were just talking about in the Supra, he's in the middle sector and he's on a lap, so he's on a personal best lap. This is the Ginetta. So Lockie Manif has been really good, 4th quickest, 2nd in Silver Am. Car number 29.
Just within the track limits there, out of turn number 5.
The great Rob Rubis, former Bathurst 6-hour winner in his own right, will be the 2nd driver in this car in the Silver Am class. Alan not far behind on the racetrack, I think, this car. So see what that Toyota Supra can do.
I think it's just going through turn number 8 now.
Just in front.
Crailsy. So he'll exit turn number 8, and that's where the timing line is. And yeah, hasn't gone faster in the middle sector, so probably won't improve on this lap. But it's very tight, really, between sort of 6th and 14th. That is quite a tight battle there. And that lap from Hughes, half a second over 2nd place Tom Heyman. So that is a very impressive time in that Mercedes. We just see Hugo Allen in the background crossing the line. Checkered flag is out and does not improve. So a 35-2. But yeah, that lap from Jared Hughes, I'm just looking at pre-qualifying yesterday, and they were about in 5th position. So they've definitely found a bit of speed overnight.
Yeah, that's very good. And Summer Rintoul did a very nice job at the island as well as the 2nd driver in that car. So qualifying 2 for Monochrome GT4 Australia still to come. Jared Hughes ends up quickest of the silver class cars in front of Tom Heyman. But the lap times, have a look at the margins in the right-hand side of the screen. So a 2nd down to 9th place, but from 2nd position down to 13th, it's 1 second. So if you find a couple of tenths, you're not jumping up 1 or 2 spots, you're jumping up 8 or 9. That's how close this field is. So you can see the various class leaders there. Marcus Liddell on debut, pole in the AM class, beats the champ in Shane Smollen. Josh Thomas next and Jamie Augustine 3rd in the AM class and 19th outright. But Jared Hughes on top, so it's Mercedes, AMG, McLaren, Ford, Ginetta and Audi, 5 brands in the top 5. Qualifying 1 of Monochrome GT4 Australia. Down to Greg Rust.
Now, Crailsy, you might have thought you've won the Beard Award for round 2 here of the Shannons Speed Series, but on top of that success you've just detailed for Marcus Liddell there, I mean, that's grown a bit since I last saw you. Congratulations. That's a nice way to start things in the Mustang. How are you finding it?
Mate, look, it's been a huge challenge. We only got the car on Tuesday, so literally that is, I think that's lap number 4, 5 and 6 for me in the car. And, you know, Jared got about 8 laps, which was the most important thing yesterday. But, look, the car's really, really good, very well balanced, a great product. But a little bit of a cheat code coming back after 15 years away to sneak in as a bronze, but we'll run it while we got it.
Nice, decent change from the TCR car. How different is the Mustang by comparison to the Audi?
Look, I've always said that a TCR was very much a front-wheel drive GT4 car, and I must say, very, very similar. Obviously, rear-wheel drive and a lot of weight in the Mustang. It's a big car to sort of lumber around, but look, it does everything right, very well built. Great category. Really, really proud to be here, to be honest, and massive thanks to Jared for bringing us the car and letting me drive the thing.
A lot of hard work for you and the team to get to this point. That's a nice little reward to start things. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, man.
Stubbsy.
Well, Jared Hughes, congratulations. There were big handshakes and hugs out the back of the garage here. That must mean the world. That was a nice drive.
Yeah, it was good. It's what we should have done at Phillip Island. I think the boys have worked so hard and the girls have worked so hard to give us a great car. And yeah, it's all I could give to Summer for her birthday today, so that was awesome. But no, they worked so hard and they deserve more at Phillip Island, so it's good to give it to them.
What's it doing well here? What changes have you noticed?
I think we're just doing well overall. We were really fast at Phillip Island. Unfortunately, just a lot of things didn't go our way and we couldn't show it. So car feels strong. I think we've got a good race car, but we're going to find out, aren't we, later this afternoon.
Good luck for the weekend.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Thanks, Stubbsy. That is a young driver after your job, Thomas Randall. Jared Hughes, quickest in qualifying 1 in Monochrome GT4 Australia. Stick around, though. Another 15 minutes coming your way next with qualifying 2 here at the Shannons Speed Series.
Back live, our coverage of round 2 of the Shannons Speed Series from Sydney Motorsport Park continues on Saturday. Joined here in the pit lane now as the GT4s get set to roll once again by a young Kiwi in Hugo Allen, who has literally just stepped out of the game over Toyota Supra that he's sharing this weekend with Tony Quinn. Now, he's a fresh face to our paddock here, but off the back of success in Toyota 86 competition in New Zealand, and with the Tony Quinn Foundation, this has created an opportunity for you. How good?
Yeah, no, I'm super stoked, and I'm just really grateful. Jump out of the way. I'm really grateful that I've been given the opportunity, because guys like me can't afford to go and do this by ourselves, and it's really cool that off the back of winning the GR86 Championship in New Zealand, that we've actually got the opportunity, and there's a pathway for us to move forward. So yeah, look, I'm just super grateful, and to be honest, I'm just having a lot of fun.
Good, that's exactly how it should be, and the story will continue, of course, at Queensland Raceway next time out, when the rookie champion in Chris White Jr. gets his chance as well. So it's a great thing that Tony Quinn and the Foundation have done here. Firstly, how'd you find the Supra? It's a step up. How are you finding Sydney Motorsport Park, and just generally where you at?
Yeah, first time here, obviously. I did do a day in the Supra back in New Zealand, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Struggled a little bit with firing the green tyre up, but yeah, first time racing on a slick, so hopefully that will be forgiven, but we'll see. Yeah, we've got a little bit of work to do, but I think the pace is there now that everyone's had a heat cycle through the tyre. It'll probably start to even out a little bit, but I think the Supra's pretty strong, especially in the wet from yesterday, so let's just hope that it starts raining this afternoon.
Okay, I don't think that's going to happen based on the forecast we've seen either. Great to see you. He's enjoying his time here in Australia. I'll just get Nick, our cameraman, to spin around here before we go to the commentators. On the headset, just over here, Tom Alexander. So for those watching on in New Zealand, they'll know him. He's raced with Kenny Smith. He's been here in Australia and raced with the Stone brothers, with Ross Stone in particular, in ute-based competition successfully. So he's working with this team this weekend. Back to you, Kralsey.
Right, Rusty, thank you. And good to hear from Hugo Allen. That Kiwi-based Toyota Championship is very, very strong. They had their final round at Taupo in the supercar round over there. And young Hugo did an outstanding job all the way throughout that championship. A lot of crossover with the Aussie Series as well. It's become a really great breeding ground for young racing talent as we roll out for another 15 minutes of Monochrome GT4 Australia. This is qualifying 2, so the drivers you didn't see in Quali 1 are the ones that will roll out for this race, and they each set a grid for either one of the 2 one-hour races that we're going to feature in our broadcast this weekend. Hope you're enjoying our coverage from Sydney Motorsport Park. Beautiful day. Quite warm now outside, and heading for a top in the low to mid-20s today. Gentle breeze. It's a biscuit factory breeze. If you've come to Sydney Motorsport Park in the past, you'll know what that means. But really nice day, and there'll be some great motor racing, and actually there'll be there's a real buzz in the precinct in this area at the moment. Wow, as the Black Wolf car gets down the inside, Steve Jackick squeezing down, trying to get some track position early in this qualifying session. The drag racing across the road at Western Sydney Dragway, and you can catch that coverage on 7+. We're not telling you to turn away from this, but you can multi-screen, so log in twice, watch it on 2 different screens. Why not? That's the joy of 7+ coverage. You watch it wherever you are, so looking forward to a massive weekend here in Sydney's West of Motorsport. And this qualifying session will be big. The equivalent session at Phillip Island was topped by George Miedeke in round 1. Daniel Price was 2nd. Max Gagan, who we heard from earlier, was 3rd. And Zoe Woods, outstanding in 4th position with Jake Camilleri in P5.
Looks like we're out on the M4 at the moment, Quailsy.
Yes, at peak hour. It's a bit more Parramatta Road, actually.
We've got Miedeke here, who took the pole position at Phillip Island against Daniel Price, who's in that Audi R8. So that's going to be a really interesting battle to watch. And George Miedeke leading the charge in terms of track position here for their qualifying session. And we've already lost 2.5 minutes of this qualifying session. So that's what it's taken just to do this outlap. So we're down to about 12.5 minutes remaining in this session, as there's still a bit of a queue of cars just trying to find some track position. But I mean, on this opening lap, Quailsy, this won't be the lap time, because you get 3 sets of tyres for the weekend, and a lot of cars, pretty much all the cars, would have put a 2nd set on for this session.
Just talk to me about clear racetrack here and how important it is, because we saw Steve Jackick making those moves, getting past the slower cars on the outlap. Some categories actually have a rule that states you cannot pass cars until you get to the control line. So you need to find your own place. That's not in place in Monochrome GT4. How important is it to get clear air and clear racetrack in a qualifying session this short?
Oh, it's crucial, Crailsy, and for a number of reasons. One of them is obviously aero wash. The closer that you are to the car behind, you're just going to lose front downforce. That's a very familiar face, Mr. Seaton. Crunching the numbers there, writing down some sector times, I'd say, and maybe some tyre pressures. But yeah, clear track is vital for a good lap time, because this place that we race, we have a lot of medium to high speed corners, so you just lose front end grip, and you also take out that risk of a yellow flag. If a car in front of you runs off, then you're going to have to slow up and lose time. So yeah, it's really important that you find your space, which is a bit tricky when you've got 31 cars, but everyone's doing a nice job out there at the moment. Rusty?
Thomas, just a little observation from our great team of officials here in the pit lane. I picked up on, as the session began to roll there a moment ago, it looked like, question mark, an awkward release between the Rintoul, Camilleri, Mercedes AMGs respectively, and I understand that is being looked into by race control.
Thanks, Rusty. Yeah, that's generally a bit of a no-no in motor racing, leaving your pit bay with cars already trundling down the fast lane. And that's something that Motorsport Australia and the stewards are pretty hard on in terms of making sure that doesn't occur, and something that was brought up in drivers' briefings. So, like you said, being reverted to the stewards. As we're looking at the tough lift 75 McLaren, I don't know about you, Crailsy, but whether it's just cold tyre pressure or not, but they might need to dial a bit of rear grip into that thing. He's turning that thing into a bit of a drift car here at the moment.
Sliding round on his outlap. Summer Rintoul goes quickest in the 888 Race Engineering Mercedes, 37.8, so not a representative lap time yet. We'll see something in the low, 35s, won't we, if not a little bit quicker.
That'd be a hell of a birthday present, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it? Yeah, a little breaking news there from young Jared Hughes, which was cool. So happy birthday to Summer. Gagan quickest, now Campbell. Now they're starting to fire some lap times in. Max Gagan with a 33.6 is a very good lap time in the Method Motorsport McLaren. Not a lap from George Miedeke. So that was just a gentle build lap.
Yeah, Tim Lay at the moment, he's just set a purple sector 1, but yeah, still 9 minutes to go. And these Pirelli tyres, Crailsy, they just get better and better in these sorts of sessions. So probably with about 4 minutes to go, it might be hard to find. The peak might have dropped off there, but it'll probably be lap 3 or 4 in these cars on these Pirelli tyres where we will see the fastest times. And there's more fuel burn, so the car's getting lighter and lighter. We're just following that Lubrimax Ford GT4 of Miedeke, who, like we touched on before, he got the pole in qualifying 2 at Phillip Island. He's currently sitting in about 17th position. He's on a lap, but Tim Lay at the moment, purple sector 1, quite a decent sector 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets somewhere near that top 3, because Gagan has just gone fastest with a 33.6. So that's quite impressive at the moment.
Big birthday recently for the Mayor of Orange, Tim Lay. Celebrated that just before the 6 hour. Jake Camilleri goes second. Max Gagan is quickest and proving as Lay goes to second. So 33.9 for Tim Lay. So he called that brilliantly. Gagan proving why he and Tom Heyman are such a good combo, because Tommy did a 33.5 in qualifying 1. Gagan 33.6 in qualifying 2. So as a combo, they are absolutely joined at the hip in terms of speed. Miedeke goes to third in the Lubrimax Mustang. So great lap, 0.3 of a second away from Max Gagan's time. Jake Camilleri currently fourth. Tim Lay on a lap and going quicker again. So we'll pick up the BMW. Jason Gomersall currently leads the way in the Silver AM class. He's 12th in front of Dean Campbell and Glenn Nerwin.
So Motorsport Australia Race Control have just handed a 3 grid spot penalty for the number 36 entry of Jake Camilleri for that unsafe pit release. So at the moment, if it stays the way it is, he'll be starting 3 grid spots back from that, so it'll be P7. But I'll tell you what, Crailsy, Tim Lay just gone purple again in sector 1, and he was actually purple in the final sector. So we can just see him in the back of the shot there. Hopefully he doesn't get caught in this in a bit of traffic here, which I think, it looks like he's just had to go around that Randall Racing BMW as well. So that's going to hurt that lap. Rusty?
That side there, before you headed out, I think he felt that you guys are a fraction high and heavy here this weekend, but the sectors look good at the moment.
Yeah, Tim's doing a good job. He showed me up, I think, in that one. So, yeah, I didn't nail my lap by any means. I run really wide and almost off the track at Corporate Hill, so I lost a bit of time in mine, but Tim's doing a really good job at the moment. So we'll see where it finishes up after this.
We'll get back to it then.
Thanks, Rusty.
Yeah, thanks, Rusty. And we saw that traffic interference coming out of the hairpin, and it cost Tim Lay half a second and possibly a shot at pole position, because he ended up basically matching his previous best lap time, and he is only 0.2 of a second away. Let's follow the Central West Prestige BMW, and he's backed out of it. So, as predicted.
Such an awkward spot there, Crailsey, to get traffic, because you've pretty much done all the hard work around this place. You're just getting onto turn 9, which you're back on the good surface track, and he got through sector 2, and he was pretty much purple to the second sector. And like you said, he lost that half a second in the final sector to his own fastest overall sector. So looks like he's just backing off here to try and get a gap, whether he'll go again or whether that's past the point of the tyre. But at the moment, Gagan on provisional pole, and he's got 2.5 tenths margin over Tim Lay.
See the Mercedes AMG, which won't be far away from the line. So we're keeping an eye out for Summer Rintle in car 87 on a very, very good lap at the moment, and looking to find a big chunk of time, and actually goes to 7th place. So improvement from Summer, just tipping into turn 1 now. On screen, on right of screen, is Andy McElray. He's the team boss at McElray Racing. They've expanded their operations, famous for success in one-make Porsche racing. They brought Matt Campbell, I was going to say into the world, but into the racing world. That was Andrew's job. Won some multiple championships in Carrera Cup, most recently with Harry Jones. They're in Sprint Challenge, but they've expanded into GT4 competition this year with Nathan Murray, who's in the AM class, in the Morris BMW, car number 5. Really nicely presented car, and it's good to see teams expanding their ventures and their businesses into GT4 racing.
One thing I wanted to touch on there, Crailsey, is George Mediki jumped up into 3rd position, and he's all but matched the time of Tim Lay with a 33.91. Tim Lay 33.90. So that's going to put them in a great position for the afternoon race, which something we haven't discussed this weekend yet is the pit stop compensation times. We'll get into that a little bit later on, but Camilleri in position number 4, Shane Smolin at the moment on top of the AM class and 5th overall, and that's a nice little battle between Smolin and Jacob Lawrence in the Randall Racing entry. They're separated by about 0.2 of a second as we head down to Gomersall, who's the leader in Silver Am and sitting in position 10 overall.
Daniel Price has just jumped up a couple of spots in the Audi too, with a 1 minute 35.7, so he's 9th on the road, 7th in the silver class. Remember, Blake Purdy sharing that car did a nice job in that session earlier to be 5th quickest in qualifying 1. Braking zone, turn 2, car number 25, Max Gagan, and the car runs wide. The rear tries to overtake the front. That's why it's called oversteer. There's too much steer in the car, and the back wants to lap the front. So you dial that in with some opposite lock and some throttle control. And Daniel Price, so he was pushing on. He just set a personal best first sector. The timing line for that is basically where he's gone around. So he was hustling at turn 4. He's off the road. Max Gagan going on with it. So despite that big slide, that was still a personal best first sector. Looking to pull more margin out of Tim Lay, who's in the lane and can't respond. George Mediki's just gone back out and has 3 minutes, so he'll get 1, maybe 2 flyers if he times it well. 4th place, Jake Camilleri is in the lane as well, so there's not going to be any improvement there. Price won't improve because he's pointing the wrong direction. Can Max just build this margin even further? And having qualified 2nd in qualifying 1 with Tom Heyman, Method Motorsport could be looking for a pole award here, but it's not going to happen, I don't think, because there's traffic aplenty up at turn 12, and this will be so frustrating for Max Gagan.
I think he's just going to roll out of it here. He lost a couple of tenths in the middle sector there, Crailsey. But I'll tell you who did a great job avoiding Price was Zoe Woods. We just caught the back end of that, and you could see a puff of smoke everywhere, and Zoe, it actually looked like that she was the first on the scene, and I can only guess and assume that Price has lost the rear on the way in and then sort of headed to the inside or the right-hand side there. So nice to not put a scratch on that car. And at the moment, Price sits down in position number 9. And back, if we go wind the clock back to Phillip Island, he actually qualified on the front row in that Audi. So it was that battle between Mediki and Price. But at the moment, Gagan and Lay are both in the lane, and they are your current front row starters for their race. So that's going to be quite exciting. They've only got, a 2.5 gap, and we knew that Tim Lay was on a bit of a lap there. So who knows what he could have done as the number 5 BMW of Murray at the moment down in position number 25. Set a personal best in the middle second on that previous lap. So there's still a couple of times that are tumbling. Hannock in the McLaren is in the top 10. Just set his personal best with a 35.9. And then we have, Gomasol in the lane in position number 11, who is the leader of the Silver Am class.
Yeah, Shane Smollen, what a welcome back to GT4 this is. He's P5 at the moment in that Porsche that he won the title with last year, sharing with Lockie Manif. Well, Method Motorsport are calling it 50 seconds to go, and I think it's a fair shout. So they're going to start second and first in the 2 races. And this team, after such a good performance at the Island, this is how you build a championship. These 2 drivers so evenly matched, and that is such an advantage in this style of racing. When you're sharing a car, the closer your 2 drivers are in pace, you're going to be good. And you might not have the 2 quickest drivers, but if you're evenly matched, it's going to give you a better result across the spread of races over a weekend. And the way these races play out, Tom, you often can't think of it as race 1 and race 2. You need to think of it as one race over 2 parts, over 2 days. One driver starts race 1, finishes race 2. The driver that finishes race 1 starts race 2, and it all plays itself out over the course of 2 days. So there's a lot of strategy involved, but if your 2 drivers are evenly matched, you're in such good shape going across those 2 1-hour races in Monochrome GT4.
And it's a great format, like you touched on, Crailsy, where each driver gets a taste of starting and finishing. And we just saw that shot of the boys, Heyman and Gagan, with Sam Scafidi, the engineer, in the background, who is the engineer for Chaz Mostert, who drives the Walkinshaw and Ready United Ford Mustang and the Supercars Championship. But something that we've got to consider here, Crailsy, is that car is going to have 10 seconds added to its pit stop time as well, the 25 McLaren. So they're going to have to work super hard out there in race 1 today to see if they can make up that time. And we'll have extra 15 seconds added to the Price Purdy Audi and 5 seconds added to the Grey Mediki Mustang. So that's something that we've got to consider as well.
So Max Gagan grabs the pole position for qualifying number 2 in Monochrome GT4 Australia. There are the boys. Tom Heyman's one of these just massively underrated race car drivers who pops up and he's so consistent and consistently strong in everything he drives. Max Gagan, we know, is a star of the future. Tim Lay might be ruining what could have been the man from Orange with that traffic interrupted lap, because he was on an absolute flyer.
That was still a cracking job from Tim Lay, absolutely.
So qualifying 2 shows McLaren on top with BMW and Ford next. Silver cars first 3 4th. Shane Smollen on top in AM. And then Jason Gomasel, best of the Silver AM cars, in 11th outright in the Ford Mustang he shares with Aaron Seaton. Jared Kite backing up that job from Marcus Liddell in qualifying 1, 13th position in his Ford Mustang. The Audi's in the mix as well. They're looking strong. It's wide open as always, and shout out Zoe Woods, nice job. Alongside Summer Rintal, so 7th and 8th position. The girls doing a super job in the Mercedes and the Porsche. Highlights from qualifying in Monochrome GT4 Australia. 2 short, sharp 15-minute sessions, and they were exciting all the way through. Nathan Murray with a little moment in the number 5 BMW up at turn 2 for McElroy in the Morris car. And this Method Motorsport entry. So Tom Heyman in qualifying 1 was pressing on. Ultimately couldn't quite get the job done against Jared Hughes with an absolutely flying 1 minute 33.0 was quickest in that first session. A grab pole by half a second for the JGI 888 race engineering team. Nash Morris, super quick for Porsche in the TechWorks car. I think they're going to be a big contender over the course of the weekend. as always. Cody Bircher was particularly strong. Interesting pair of qualifying sessions for the D.A. Campbell Transport Racing Ford Mustang. So Cam Crick never really fired. He was 8th, and then Dean Campbell 18th in qualifying too. So a long way down the field. They've got some work to do in the races, but they showed at Phillip Island they've got great car speed. They're going to have to pass the cars, but they've made a pretty good habit of that recently in endurance races at the mountain. So let's see what they can do.
Yeah, they have indeed, and they were fastest in pre-qualifying last night. So whether or not maybe some other cars have found a little bit of speed overnight, or maybe they've just lost a little bit of pace. It is slightly different conditions, obviously, between last night and now. We saw that McLaren drifting around on the track, Nerwin, having a few moments, and then we saw that moment, obviously, from Price in turn number 4, which Zoe Woods did a cracking job to get avoid that car, and Maxi Gagan, cracking job there in this session. And this was that moment with Tim Lay when he was on a lap, and we thought that he could potentially go to the top with this lap. So we know there's some pace in that BMW, which I think we're all pretty excited to see how that's going to pan out come later this afternoon.
Yeah, it's going to be great fun. This afternoon's race will be box office watching. There's no doubt about that. And the Money Me cars really well presented, all 3 of them. This team that Mark Griffith has helped pull together. And look outstanding. Mercedes en masse in Monochrome GT4 Australia at the moment, and they are going to be good. This was a big moment on a quick lap. Price looking to improve, and the Nippies out. He had a little lose on the exit of turn 4, which stopped any improvement from them. Lockie Hennock, 10th place for Method Motorsport, but in the end it was Max Gagan quickest in qualifying 2 in Monochrome GT4 Australia. Great stuff. They've got an hour race to come a little bit later on this afternoon. But time to get down to the lane where we can catch up with Isabella Limbruggen.
Thanks, yes. Joined alongside our pole sitter, Max Gagan. Congratulations. A really stellar weekend in Phillip Island, and you've managed to continue it here already, early stages. How did that feel?
Yeah, that was good. That's Tommy set a great banker, obviously. He didn't quite get it done in quali 1. He was saying, it's just, mate, you got 1 lap, so you just got to send the balls to the walls. And really, that's what I did. I had a good go. Obviously, got the tyre up, but that's my second ever pole. I've only ever had a pole in a high-powered Hyundai, so to do it in a McLaren's pretty cool. But yeah, can't thank the team enough. It's been really, really good being here with them as well. And we had some dramas yesterday, and to get bang straight on it, but really proud of the team to put that together.
And what will be the key to converting this pole position into a race win later on?
I think it's just going to be looking after these tyres. I think the biggest thing, really, we didn't do too many laps then on that set. We came in halfway through and bled some pressures and didn't really take energy out of the tyre if we didn't need to. So I think that'll pay dividends to us, and just keep chipping away, look after that tyre, and make sure you've got the car at the end.
Well, congratulations, and looking forward to seeing you in action later today.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Still plenty more racing action here to come from Sydney Motorsport Park. Plenty more to come right after this.